Hello everyone, we are back. We are back with another session. So yesterday we worked on the music sampler element, which I thought was pretty cool. And I don't know what to say about it really. It was a very fun element. It was the hey DNTNT. Yeah, it was a very fun element. I felt like it was pretty interesting. I'm tempted to work on it some more, but I don't know how much we can do on it. But today we're going to do a new component. I think we're going to do a brand new component, and we're going to look at what the word slot machine is going to give us. This, by the way, is the penultimate of all of these videos. Tomorrow is the last episode. And yeah, it's been a fun ride, everyone. I've got to say, it's been a fun ride. Okay, let's click the pick button. Are you ready? Oh, overflow menu, which is funny because this thing kind of overflowed itself. Okay, so overflow menu. I think what this would kind of be like, I don't know if you've seen this before, but if you've got like a menu bar with a bunch of icons, and you can slot machine elements, says DNTNT. Yeah, that's the word slot machine is what we have. I will open source it soon. We can make a slot machine element later on if you'd like, though. Sorry, so overflow menu would be like a menu which you would, as you shrink the menu, so let's say the menu has 5 icons. As you shrink the menu, when you get to 4 icons, it will have a little like burger menu, context menu, overflow menu, and you can click that and you can see the rest of them. It's a pretty common thing in design systems, but I think web components should give us a really unique way to do this, because often what I see is people will render 2 lists and a horizontal menu supporting overflow, says DNTNT. Yeah, exactly. It's a horizontal menu. I mean, let's just get started on it. So we're going to go to the custom element boilerplate. I think I need to single sign on, so let me just do that. Here we go. We are signed. We're signed in. Oh, we need to turn off admin mode as well. Right, we're signed in, and things look regular. Right, so 24 web components. Overflow menu. The menus. They overfloweth. Public. We'll make this public. Create repository. We're going to clone it. We know the drill by now. We've done. This is the 16th of this series. No, 14th of this series. There'll be 15 in total. Someone said to me the other day that it's wild that I'm doing 24 consecutive days of doing this. I think that was my fault because I called this 24 web components. The aim was to build 24 web components, not do 24 days of streaming. Oops, I actually want to run this whole command. Run at latest, says DNTNT. Okay, let's run it at latest. Yes. Overflow menu. Seems right to me. Awesome. So let's have a look what we've got here. Yep, this level looks fantastic. That was super quick. That was awesome. Let's add all of this. Create. Tell you what. Let's put in some advertising. Boom. That's the commit message. Okay, cool. I forgot what I was saying. Yes, 24 web components. The aim was to build 24 web components. We have built WCL. We've built 20. So if we could build 2 today and 2 tomorrow. No worries, DNTNT. You didn't interrupt me. I read it. I read your comment because I felt like it was important enough to read ahead of that. Yeah, we've built 20 web components. So if we can do 2 today, I don't think we're going to do 2 today. But if we can do 2 today and 2 tomorrow, then we'll get to 24. I think we're going to be just shy of that, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be like, it was all just fun, right? We're not gunning for 24 web components. We're not avid about that. Right, let's open this overflow menu, npm start. Oops, over here. Okay, so we've got the wave. I delete this. We shouldn't have the wave anymore. That's great. If we go to the index HTML. I think what I want to do, we want to create a series of overflow items. Excuse me, or menu items, I guess. I think I want to have a separate web component called overflow menu item, and this is going to have an association. I don't know why this auto completed a demo. That's weird. And this is going to have an association with the overflow menu. So you can think of this as like OM, you know, it's like an OL, and these are going to be LIs, but instead of OL and LIs, this is an overflow menu, and this is a overflow menu item. And what we're going to do, I have an idea of what we want to do here, anyways. You know what? I'm going to just pop these headphones out because I don't actually need them. I kind of have an idea of what I wanted to do here with this. I'm kind of going in pre-primed, as it were. Like when I jotted this example down, like the slot machine is just a list of random web components. Maybe on Friday, tomorrow's stream, we'll see what ones we didn't do. But it's a list of web components, and it picks a random one. And so obviously each one was an idea that we had. I workshopped it with a couple of people, and this one in particular, I kind of knew ahead of time. I was like, this would be a great demonstration of manual slot assignment. So I'm kind of going in pre-primed here, but it's okay because who cares? So an overflow menu item, we're going to have an icon, which is going to be a SVG, or as I like to call them, SVGers. Now, I really like feather icons. I don't know if any of y'all have used feather icons before. Super cool project. I actually found out recently this is by a hubber by the name of Cole. So Cole works at GitHub. I didn't realize that until I love these icons. They're really fantastic. And then I found out that Cole made it and worked on all of this, which is awesome. Anyways, it's got a ton of icons, so we're just going to throw some in here for overflow menu. I don't know, bold maybe, right? So we can get the bold one. The only thing I would say about this, maybe I should pester Cole, is I'd really like to be able to copy the SVG rather than have to download them all. I believe there's a fork of this called Lucid, and this is a fork of feather icons, and there's a couple more icons in here, but this also has the copy and paste. So if I search for bold, it's the same icon, but you get this popover, and then you can copy the SVG, and then I can just blat it straight in here. There we go. We've got an SVG, and there's the SVG. Fantastic. So let's get some more. Let's get some more overflow. So this is going to be called bold, and we want a couple more. So what do we want? We want like italic. I guess this website. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to copy the entire overflow menu item, and we're going to take the italic. Alignment and underline. Okay, so align. Yeah, this is cool. We got tons of these now. Right, so align left. Oh, this one should be italic, shouldn't it? There we go. Let's just do a ton of these, and then so we can say, right, so underline was one. So let's copy that. This one's going to be underlined. We're also going to have so the alignment ones. So we're going to have align left, align left. We'll have align center, align center. We'll have align right, and we'll have justify. This should be enough to get us going. Well, maybe for good measure, we'll just populate this last one with something. Download. Yeah, that makes sense in the context of this, doesn't it? A bunch of text formatting options and then download. No reason why. Cool. So we've got a menu. It's a really ugly menu. This is not a menu that you would want. I'm gonna. Whoops. YSIT. No. YSIT. That's not what I wanted. Okay. I don't know why that didn't work. I want to wrap these in a span. That's what I was aiming for. Cool. BRWST then. Span. BRWS. Oh no, this is. Whoops. BIW Shift ST span. BIW Shift ST. Nope. Oh no. This is terrible. I've also spelt that one wrong. Do you know what? Let's use the old-fashioned. We'll do one of these. If I hit dot, does it redo the action? It doesn't seem to be. I think I recently switched plugins from Tim Pope's Vim Surround into one called NVim Surround, and it doesn't look like it works with repeats, which is a bit unfortunate. But we're just going to do it the old-fashioned way. We don't need no Vim plugins. We can just use dot. Okay, so these should all be in spans. Thanks for the suggestion though, DNTNT. Okie dokie. Right, so we've got an overflow menu item. We've got the Svigger, and we've got the span. And so this represents one menu item. I think this looks fine. I mean, we can make it a little nicer. So let's declare this class as well. So we're going to declare the overflow menu item element. If I can type again, which is as usual, I am unable to for some reason. We're going to just copy paste this. This is going to be overflow menu item, and this needs to be item. Whoops. fe dot. There we go. Okay, so we've got overflow menu item. I'm going to say const item style sheet. It's going to be a new CSS style sheet. And we're going to say item style sheet dot replace sync. And we're going to say host. I'm just going to make these a little bit nicer because I think is it place content middle. These feel a little, so this dot render root is going to be this dot attach shadow, mode open. Yeah, they feel a little janky looking, so maybe we're going to make them look a bit nicer. We want to say this dot render root, adopted style sheets, push item style sheet. Okay, let's have a look. So I don't know if this is a custom element at the moment. It is the base HTML element. So something has gone wrong. Overflow menu item element. Oh, TypeScript doesn't like. I need to define render root for TypeScript to compile. It's just a thing that TypeScript doesn't like. It will crash if you don't define your private fields up front. Okay, so if we go to the console, $0.constructor, we should see this is an overflow item, menu item element, which it is, which is great. So we've got our overflow menu items. Because we've done the shadow route, by default, the shadow route's just not going to render any of the children. So we need to say inner HTML. I mean, we can just say document create element slot. This is for a slightly different way to do this. In fact, yeah, why not? Const slot equals, and then render route append slot. Okay, great. So we've got all of these. Now, because they're display flex, they've gone columnar. No, they've gone row wise. Because I think that this is the equivalent of display block as well, right? It like implicitly does a display block. And so we need to like probably add display flex to the overflow menu. So we'll do that as well. So I'm just gonna yeet this and whoops, delete one too many lines. Sure. I guess this needs to be style sheet. And we also want to pretty much just copy and paste this. Okay, cool. So this looks a little better. We're already overflowing, which is great. I'm going to make the font size. Wait, hold on. Are we just zoomed in? Yeah, we're zoomed in. Is that too zoomed out? What do we want? Like this? This is fine, isn't it? The thing I don't like, we want a gap, I think. Let's say 0.5 EM. That didn't work, did it? Each of these as well. Oh, interesting. Each of these doesn't have... Wait a second. Overflow menu item is an HTML element again. Have we stopped compiling? Ah. Render route. Shadow route. I forgot to add this. And so, oops. Our it might help if I keep the console open permanently, because then we can see if there's any 500s. And I'm going to say preserve log off. So every time we refresh, we'll get a new one. There we go. Now we're cooking. Okay. DNTNT says, could you change the font family to sans serif just so we can read it better? That is a great idea. Style. Font. Wait, no. Can I do root? I think I can. Font family sans serif. Let's indent all of this just for fun. Okay, cool. So this looks kind of weird to me, and I'm trying to figure out why. Not that I'm that bothered about the styles. This isn't about styles, but this should have justified... Huh. My place content middle. I guess it's an invalid role. Place content middle. Oh, is it not middle? Is it center? Okay, that's not what I want. I wanted place items center. That looks more like it. Place items center. Place items center. Whoops. Okay. We don't need place content middle here. It doesn't look like the gap is applying on the overflow menu. Is it not gap? 0.5 rem. Oops, 0.5 rem. Okay, so I've got gap 0. Wait a second. This is why you shouldn't copy and paste. There we go. Now we've got a menu. Now we've got a menu. Right. Okay, so this is the style sheet for this one. This is the style sheet for this one. That makes perfect sense. We've got a lint error here. The reason is because the default lint config that we've got. We just run lint. The default lint config we've got has ESLint plugin custom elements, and one of the things in that is that you should only define one element per file because it can get pretty messy. But for the interests of the stream, I think it's okay to define one in a single file because we don't want to be bogged down with loads of files. So I'm going to say ESLint disable next line, and the line is custom elements file name matches element. Interesting, we're still getting an error. Do you know what? Just disable the whole next line. Cool, whatever. At least we got rid of the squigglies absolutely everywhere. So we've got our menu. The problem is, if I dock this to the right, we'll really see it. Or maybe actually, if I dock this underneath and then use the responsive view, and then we will zoom into 100%. Actually, we will need 75%, won't we? Because I need the grab handles. I just want responsive view. Give me responsive view. This is cool. Okay, so we'll zoom into say 125%. As I slide this, oh dear, this is not the way to do it, is it? Okay, fine. Dock to the right it is. As I slide this, we can see all these items. I can't click, I mean I can click justify, but I can't click download if I scroll this to the right. And so what we want is a little hamburger menu, and the hamburger menu is going to give us a button to push that we can then view the rest of these in an additional menu. So the way we're going to do that is this isn't just going to be a slot element. We'll set some inner HTML here. So inner HTML. I'm going to have two slots as well. I'm going to have a slot which is just the main slot. And I'm going to have a slot with the name of overflow. And the overflow menu is going to be in a div. This is where I start making stuff up. I haven't got this far with the implementation in my head. But I think we want this in a div. And we want to have a button. And the button is going to have... whoops. Oh my god. My keyboard was ever so slightly nudged to the right, and so I was spelling everything one letter off. We're going to go back to feather icons. We're going to resume... What is this? Resume my journey? What is this? Wow. Chrome's got like this resume journey feature. That's interesting. Anyway. We want... no, we want menu, I guess. That's probably too much. Like more vertical. Perfect. Oh yeah. Downloads, more vertical. Okay. We're going to get rid of this button here. Okay. So we've got a button and it's got a... Yeah, there we go. Perfect. We want this button to do something. So I'm just going to add an event listener for click and this, and we'll say handle event, and that's going to take an event which is a type of event, and we'll check if the event type is click, and let's just give this button an ID because why not. Then we can say and event target ID is more. There's probably better ways to do this. Excuse me, to do this. In fact, there's way better ways to do this. One way would be to say, like get button, or like have a button here, which is the HTML button element, and then you could say this dot button is equal to the this dot render root dot query selector button, or you could make a getter or something like that. So maybe we'll do that instead. So if event.target is equal to this dot button, whoops, and we need another equals. We don't need another equals, but the lint is telling us off. Okay, something's gone wrong. Cannot read properties of undefined of query selector. That's because this should be hashtag. Yeah. DNT is also pointing that out. Oh yeah, this is another lint problem. Generally, it's a good idea to avoid calling query selector in connected callback because you should really use mutation observers and stuff. But for the shadow root itself, you don't need to because this is a fixed piece of HTML. But the linter isn't advanced enough to know that this hashtag render root is like something other than, like, this could be anything, right? This could be an element in the DOM or something. And so we want to avoid using stuff like query selector here because it's not robust enough to change this in the DOM. But it is for the shadow root because this is fixed. So we want to say, when this is clicked, we want to say, I'm going to give this an ID of overflow now. And I'm going to also have overflow, which is going to be an HTML element. And we'll say overflow, this dot render root, query selector div. And yeah, we want to say this overflow dot hidden equals not this dot overflow hidden. That's what we want. And then if I put hidden here, hidden, not hidden, when we click this, nothing happens, which is great. Why does nothing happen? So the event listener should be firing. Let's console log. That's not Cosnol. Let's console log the event. Okay, so we're getting the pointer event. If it's this dot button is being set. Let's console log the event target and the this dot button. Let's see what we get. Okay, so the click event is bubbling up to the maybe the target is the SVG element, says DNT. I think that's a really good hunch, but it seems to be that it's actually the overflow menu for some reason, and so it's not the button. So I think I'm trying to figure out what we should do now here. Yeah, it's a bit confusing. I think it's because I wonder if it's because the because it was composed when the target crosses a shadow boundary, the click event is only whatever the shadow host is. So now it should be the SVG, as you correctly pointed out. So yeah, so because shadow roots are encapsulated, maybe we can inspect this a bit better and we can see. But like this click event is on the shadow host, it's on the overflow menu, and if we look at the path, oh, interesting. The path has the button. I don't think that should have that now. Well, I was about to assert that user select none on the SVG, says Langerman. No, I think it's to do with the shadow boundaries. This should be, so this pointer event, the target should be the overflow menu because we're listening to that, and that's in the correct kind of document or whatever. I thought that the path would also, the path here would only have the overflow menu, but it seems to have gone all the way, like from the button into the document fragment this is the shadow root, I guess. Overflow menu, body HTML document window. I wonder, that seems, I'm going to set this to closed because I really want to know, does that mean I can get to a closed shadow root? No. So if the shadow root is closed, the path doesn't have it, but because it's open, it doesn't really matter that much, but you do want to make sure that the click event is coming from the, like, you don't want to expose shadow roots on the target, but I guess it makes sense that because this isn't truly private, it doesn't matter if it's in the path. This is probably more to do with web compatibility than particulars about encapsulation. Anyways, we're going to say render root, and that way we will get the figure, as DNTNT has already said. So we need to do something with this. We need to do closest. So we can say closest button. And the way closest works is this is a CSS selector. If event target matches it, I believe it will return it itself, and then it will bubble up until it finds something that is the closest match, like the anything that matches this as it traverses the tree upwards. So we should see. Oh, we need a console login here, don't we? Oh wait, we've already got the I'm visible. So we've got this I'm visible, which is great. And so I think what we also want to do is we want to say overflow. Yes, closest ancestor. Thank you for that word for me, DNTNT. So we want to say overflow is going to be position, I don't know, fixed. Do we want position fixed or do we want position absolute? Let's have position absolute. That's all the way over there. That's no good. We'll also need to say, I guess we want position relative on the host, which isn't much better. Maybe we should, what should we do? Yeah, let's wrap this whole thing in a div. And I'll need to also say on the query selector, this needs to be, that went horribly wrong, overflow, because we've now got two divs. Yeah, that's more like it. I don't know why that suddenly works, but let's put div position relative here. Okay, this looks good. Obviously we don't want it to say I'm visible. That's a really stupid thing to do for an overflow menu. We want to overflow some of these icons in here. We also, when it's a menu like this, I want to kind of get rid of these names. So let's try doing that. So I want to say, I think I want to say slotted overflow menu item. Now, I don't know what I can do here, but I'm going to try, what should we do? We could look at, what I don't think you can do, maybe you can, but if we said part label, display none, and then we need to say, in this one we'll need to construct a bit more of a shadow DOM with these, because I don't think we can target the span. We can try that, but I don't think we can target the span. But let's try DNTT. Yeah, see this span. There's limitations on what you can style with the slotted element. I mean, let's change this to overflow item just to make sure. Yeah, so this is all display none, but you can only select one descendant down with a slotted selector, as far as I'm aware. So you can't go deeply in and do loads of kind of nested CSS. But I think what we can do is we can do parts, I think. And so I think I need dash dash for the parts. It's been a while since I last played with parts. That sounded so wrong, but whatever. Okay, so we're going to have a slot element. We're going to say slot name equals icon. and we're just going to say slot, and the icon. So in each of our SVGs, so I'm going to say XMLNS. I'm going to say SVG slot equals icon XMLNS, and I can just quickly do this. So if we save that, so we should be able to see the shadow root should have a slot icon, and that's where the SVG is, and a slot span, and that's where the label is. Now we can say this is a part label, and then I don't need the dashes here, which that doesn't seem to have worked. So let's have a play around in the debugger. So I'm going to add a new selector. I'm going to say part label. Cool, it just got rid of it. Part label. Okay. Display. Done. Okay, so that worked. That's weird. So I think maybe slotted isn't allowing us to do that. Let's have a look. Slotted selector. Compound selector. Doesn't say. It doesn't really give us any more details here either. Maybe the spec. Whoops. Oh my god. Right. Forward. Open link. Let's have a look. See. Well, the spec's not rendering. There we go. Let's have a look at what slotted gives us. So it says compound selector, and so we can look at compound selector. So it says type selector, subclass selector. So the type selector is a WQ name, which is an NS prefix, which we don't care about. That's going to be namespaces, and an ident token, which leads to a dead end. Where are we? Let's go back. Okay, so compound selector, subclass selector. So we've got an ID, a class, a attribute, or a pseudo class. Pseudo class is only one of these with a single colon. Unless it isn't. What's the pseudo class selector? So pseudo element selector is colon. Nojo says you're targeting a pseudo element. I don't think it would let you do that. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I thought that I could. I thought it'd be really nice to do this, but this is a bit of a kicker, I've got to say. I'm not super happy that I can't do this. I'll try and figure out a workaround, maybe off stream. What's the name part of the slotted span? There is no name on this. You can set a CSS var on the parent element. Yeah, I was thinking on that as well. The other problem is, oh wait, hold on, because this yeah, I don't know. I need to think about this as well, because we don't want them, when they're inside this one, we don't want them to be invisible as well. So this needs to be a bit more complex. Just to demonstrate the slots, I'm going to put some of these in the overflow. So this is going to be slot overflow. This is going to be slot overflow. And so we should see these in here, which is great. Ideally, these should be buttons as well, I think. Maybe I'll make them a button as well, because whatever for now. This is what we want. This is what we're aiming for. And so we want to be able to say, when we resize this, it should pop these into the overflow. So let's actually get to it, because this is where we want to see the magic trick, right? DNTNT says, could you remove the slotted and target only the part? I don't think so, because I mean, we can try it and we can see, but I think what will happen, this is scoped to the shadow DOM, and so you can only affect stuff that's in this shadow DOM, but you cannot affect these because they're like reflected elements. And so there's no way to actually target this with a CSS selector. The only way to target this with a CSS selector is with slotted, and then you can, this is almost like a conditional on what type of element is slotted. So if I said overflow menu item, it's getting rid of them because this matches this. It's almost like doing a for loop over each of these and saying, does this match this? I think that's why the pseudo selector isn't working, which is a bit disappointing, but it is what it is. We'll move on from that. But we want to deal with this. We want to say this should happen automatically. I think this should be pretty trivial because famous last words, right? If we were to say slot assignment manual, nothing's going to get added in. None of these are added in. They're just because we've got this slot assignment manual. Now what we need to do is we need to say main slot is going to be query selector slot, and overflow slot is going to be query selector slot name equals overflow, and main slot could be not name, just to be ultra precise. And now we need to define these because TypeScript is not happy. So main slot is going to be an HTML slot element, and overflow slot is going to be HTML slot element 2. Okay, so we're back to nothing. Now we actually need to manually add these in. And so I'm going to say assign elements, and in assign elements we're going to say this dot query selector, and we're going to say overflow menu item. This needs to be a query selector all, and we're going to say for const el of each of these overflows. And then we're going to say light slot equals this dot main slot. Slot assign. Actually, we can say main ELs is going to be an empty array, and overflow ELs is going to be an empty array. I think D&T is maybe cottoning on to what's going to happen here, but we're going to say main ELs push EL. And then we can say this main slot dot assign elements main ELs. And I'm using the spread operator here because this assign elements function is variadic, and that means it takes like n number of arguments. And so you would say like A, B, C, and however many you want. It doesn't take an array of elements. It only takes, it's variadic, so it takes each one as a separate one. And so the way you would apply the list of arguments to this is to use the spread operator. Or you could do like apply, like what would it be? It would be like apply this main slot main ELs. This is the old-fashioned way to do it before some wonderful people at TC39 came up with this fancy one. Anyways, overflow slot, assign elements. This one's going to be overflow ELs. Okay, cool. Did I mean what is wrong with this? Assign. Oh, it's not assign elements. Is it just assign? I think it's just assign. Yeah, cool. Okay, so, but we're back to square one. Nothing has happened. Now for the magic trick. Now for the actual magic. So we need to know how big our overflow menu is. And so we're going to say this.get bounding client rect. We want the width. So the width, what we could do as well is be fancy and do destructuring here. So we've got the total width. I'm actually going to let that. And I'm also going to call it total width. At which point, this is probably not clear, but this is going to be total width dot width. There we go, that's a bit more clear. Now, we can say el get bounding client rect, and this, we want the actual width from this. And we want to say total width minus equals width. Then we can say if total width is still greater than 0, we're going to push into the main ELs, else we're going to push into the overflow ELs. Does that work? I don't know. Let's find out. Oh, so we also need a resize observer, don't we? Well, let's refresh the page and see what's happened. So here's the overflow slot, and nothing's in there. Let's break open a debugger and figure out what's going on. I might add one more icon just to make this actually overflow by default. Let's go to feather icons. That's not what I wanted. Feather icons. Try forcing a max width to test. Yeah, we could. I think I can just probably. Let's go to this loose side one so I can copy it. It's much easier. Airplane. Airplane. Oh, and we also want slot equals icon. Whoops. Oh, it's going to keep squishing it, isn't it? Okay, let's go with your suggestion then, DNT&T. Maybe what I'll do is I'll say min width on these. Min width, I don't know, 200 pixels. Whoa, maybe not 200 pixels. Maybe 80 pixels. Okay, this looks good because now we can see. I don't know why these SVGs are like different sizes as well. That's really weird. Can we just say SVG width 24 pixels? No, they're just going to be different sizes for some reason. We have got scroll though. That's cool. So I think what we actually want to do, I think we want to change this iteration slightly because we don't have any assigned nodes at the moment. And so the width is nothing. So I think what we want to do probably, let's open a debugger and step through this because I think we want to change this loop slightly. And so I'm going to put a breakpoint just inside the loop and we're going to see what happens. Okay, so we've got a totally empty element. And so the total width of this whole thing, for some reason, is 700 pixels. Let's go into the elements. So we can see it's spanning the entire page. So then we're going to get the width of the... Right, so because the EL hasn't actually been rendered, we don't know what the width is. So we actually need to render it. That was what I thought was the problem. So we're going to need to assign it anyway. And so what it might be worth doing is a bit of a pain, but I think what we might want to do is say let's get all of the ELs and let's say this dot main slot assign ELs. And then what we can do is we can say we want to get like a total width, I guess. I think we want to keep pushing them in to the overflow slot until they are until we're at an adequate width, I guess. This is tougher than I thought it would be. Let's have a look anyway. So let's remove this breakpoint. Refresh. Okay, so now we've just got a ton of these and nothing much else. Oh, this is because I broke the code. Okay, cool. Let's have a look again. Oh, we're getting an error. I went on this whole diatribe about this being variadic, and then I decided to not use it as variadic. Right, here we go, cool. Okay, so we've got all of the ELs. We've got the total width. It's been weird again, hasn't it? What's gone on there? Why is it all squished up here? Oh, we have an error. Main ELs is not defined. Did I delete the EL these things? Okay, we're gonna get there one day. Okay, I'm gonna put a breakpoint here, and we'll see. So for each of the ELs, go away, pop up. Oh my word! Right, for each of the ELs, we should see in our watch stack. We should see the width, and we should see the total width. So it is negating. It keeps on going down, but then it does this, which is really irritating. What should we do? What should we do? Why don't we... oh, I wonder if part of this problem... I think part of the problem might be that the child elements aren't upgraded at this stage of execution. They're quite timing sensitive. And so if I look at the constructor here, yeah, okay. Okay, so the way the browser connects these elements is it does them synchronously during the parsing phase because they're in the DOM, right? But if I right click and view source, if it will let me. Oh my god. Right. Oops. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. If I right click and view source, this is how the browser is going to see this. It's going to get to this and it's going to say I have a overflow menu. I know this is an overflow menu. I'm going to create the overflow menu, and I know it's in the DOM, so I'm going to connect it. That happens in the same kind of millisecond, in the same like stack. And then it goes to this one, and it says, I see this, I'm going to connect it. The problem is, when we do our connected callback, we synchronously call this.sign elements, and that is part of why there's this lint rule of like, don't use query selector, because this is timing sensitive, and what we want to do is avoid just calling this straight on the connected callback because stuff isn't ready yet. And so ideally we'd use events to say, are you ready now? Because we're using manual slot assignment, there's no such event. Like in the previous stream we used assigned slots to do this. We can't do that with this because the slots won't be assigned. So what we have to do is pretty trivial, I think. We can effectively we can say this is an async, and then we'll just await one promise tick. So await promise resolve, and this should resolve the issue. And so if I go to here and we do the same query that we did, so we checked this element to see if it was connected. So if we go to the console and we say constructor, we can see this is now connected because we're one stack frame over. We've waited what is called in the spec a micro task. This is one micro task, and so we just, rather than doing this full synchronous thing of like our overflow menu is connected, the connected callback happens synchronously. We call this .sign elements. We do the query selector. None of the CSS has applied because this isn't actually this is an unknown element at the moment because we're still just at the connecting phase of this, and then we start calculating it all and everything goes all weird. If we just wait a promise tick, what's going to happen is the browser's going to continue synchronously parsing all of this. It's going to get to the end here. It's going to say, like, even these ones should be overflow menu items because we've effectively kind of waited for the browser to do something. So D&T says the connected callbacks are invoked from parent to children. Well, I don't think it's quite. That's a good rule of thumb, but I think that doesn't speak to the exact intent of what's happening here. That is just because of the parser order. I mean, I guess it's true, but I think the more important thing is that, like, what we're looking at is synchronous execution. There is another way around this, which is you can say, rather than awaiting, I believe you can say, you can force the browser to synchronously upgrade children. And so you can say custom elements dot upgrade this. And this will say, okay, this entire element, all of the children, I want those to be upgraded as well. And so that should do the same thing, I think. So, oh, it does not. I guess because at the point at which I'm calling this, I would imagine that this hasn't been fully parsed yet. Anyways, we'll stick with the promise one. That's the tried and tested. He says I need to redo it because I've lost it in my undo history. So this is just going to be a wait promise.resolve. I'm really conscious we've got 4 minutes left of the stream, and we are literally no closer to actually having an overflow menu item. Let's have a look what we have. So, I think these are reliably widthed. I don't know. Let me see. I want to see if there's that flash of, yeah. There's no flash, right? I mean, there is a flash. I don't know if it comes across on the stream. There's a very subtle flash, but these aren't jumping around. And when I add the breakpoint here, I guess, like these are all in the same style. So the styles have been applied and everything, so we're happy with that. So we've got 752, 66. So we say, where are we? We say next. Let me size this down a little bit. So we've got 685. We go next, next, next. So we're losing the total width each time. But we're still not enough. Okay, fine. Let's set this to 150 pixels. Okay, so these should each be. See, what is going on? They're not. This EL isn't 150 pixels. It's saying it's 60 pixels. Is this because there's a flex or something? If I set min width, would that? Oh, cool. We've got a crash. Okay, yeah, there we go. Right, so these are now. So maybe if I set this to 100 pixels again, we don't have to have such an outrageous. Oh, that's a pretty reliable crash. That's really cool. Okay. I think that's because I had a breakpoint and I was hard refreshing. Okay, so we've definitely got overflow. I'll add the breakpoint and we'll see where we get to. So we've got 752. So I should be able to say, so 652, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, for this particular element, which is the, should have added some names, download, it's saying that this, there's no space to fit in here, right? So we should be able to say, if total width minus width is less than 0, we want to say let overflow, well, const overflow ELs is an empty array. We want to say overflow ELs dot push EL, and then we don't need this main slot one because we've already assigned them up here. Okay. Let's try that. Oopsie daisy. Okay. So, has it worked? Oh yeah, it's worked. Oh, just in the nick of time. Nojo says, I don't think place items works with display flex, and then never mind, I MDN'd it. I should have read it before I announced it, because you then said never mind. Yeah, like just at the last second we managed to get it working. So, the problem is, right now this works okay-ish. What we're missing is, if I resize, nothing changes. And so I think I'll quickly do that now. I've got just enough time. The way to handle that, I believe, you want to use a resize observer. So we can say resize observer equals new resize observer, and you're going to get some records from the resize observer. And then we want to say for the overflow menu, I think we want to say resize observer observe this, and then we need to pass in some options. I forget what the options are. We might not have enough time to do this now that I'm thinking about it. Oh, we are really consistently crashing, aren't we? Okay. Yeah, so it works to an extent, but then the resize observer is where we want it to kick in. So we want to say, like, oh, I don't know, for const record of records, record target, I think, and we can say if record target instance of overflow menu element, record with 1D, then record target assign elements. I think that might work. Oh, look at that. Oh yeah, that was I should have been way more confident about a setting that works, because I was panicking there, but it works fine. God. Isn't that the way we're programming? You're always halfway between thinking that you're the dumbest person ever and thinking that you're the god. Yeah, this is amazing, right? We have a overflow menu. 126 lines of code. I don't think it's too bad. The interesting thing is, a lot of overflow menus I see expect you to produce the menu twice, or they'll render the menu twice for you, or you pass in some JSON. This is just using HTML, and we've got obviously a bit of JavaScript, and we're just changing the slots. And so, like, it's the same HTML. Like, if we go to the elements pane and Chrome doesn't crash for us, cool, Chrome is fully crashed. Where are my elements, please, Chrome? Okay, let's try this again. There we go. I think the really important thing here is that this DOM is stable. Right, like when these are in the overflow menu. Oh, I forgot to get rid of this slot overflow. We don't need this anymore. Yeah, this DOM is stable, and so there is going to be layout. Like the browser knows that when a slot assignment changes, it needs to relay out things. So there is going to be a layout cost, but there isn't going to be like a DOM reflow cost. Like, we're not changing the DOM structure. The DOM structure is completely stable. The shadow root structure is completely stable, aside from the fact that these slots get reflected in different ways. And so maybe I should pop this to the right, and we can see here. So this has got 3, and then as I go, it just goes 1, 2, and then yeah, reflects back in. And so the only cost is really the cost of changing these. I think I haven't benchmarked this. This is just my pure conjecture here, but I think this is a far more reasonable way to deal with this. I think it's faster. Again, I haven't benchmarked it, but I think one important part of all of this is just the stability that you have of the DOM. Like, everything is nicely encapsulated. The DOM is always the same. You can just ship the HTML. It's progressively enhanced. I mean, we can see, you know, when I was putting the errors in, just intentionally, just to show, if I put like a syntax error in here, this is still a workable menu, right? It's ugly, but people can use it because all of the original DOM structure is still there, and then we're only enhancing it. We're literally taking it and enhancing it. True progressive enhancement. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So anyway, with that, we're 5 minutes over. That was the penultimate episode. I will see you all tomorrow for the final episode. It was really awesome, yes. Thank you, DNTNT. Langman K says ship it. I completely agree, let's ship it. Let's ship it, in fact, let's actually ship it. I forgot to ship it. We'll do our classic initial implementation. It's the whip commit. There we go, pushed. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.